Welcome, everybody, to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It's another week. It's Monday, January 22nd. And like every Monday, I am joined by Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. By the way, my name is Ross Benjamin. I'm your host, and you're watching, like I said, the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. That, folks, for those of you out there who have not subscribed yet, take a second to do so. Costs you absolutely nothing. No strings attached. The best sports betting podcast on the internet today. And I say that with bias, but I also say it with a ton of confidence. And based on our subscribership, which is well over 12,000 and 400 new subscribers over the last 30 days, I think we're doing something right, so we can do something right for you as well. Hit that black subscribe button right underneath the video box. If you don't see that, you're on your PC. There's a WC logo right in the right-hand corner of your video box there. Click on that. That will serve the same purpose. And take an extra step further. This goes for all of you who have subscribed already but haven't done this, as well as the new subscribers. Go into your YouTube settings and click on that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel, and you'll be notified immediately upon any of our 6 podcasts weekly going up on our great channel. Doug, how are you?
I'm doing well, Ross. Like you, a little disappointed from, well, not a little, somewhat disappointed from the weekend. Obviously the Bills didn't quite get the job done yesterday and missed field goal. And hey, lo and behold, how about those Green Bay Packers? How about that missed field goal there? So that was, obviously the Bills went into the game with a, considered to be a better opportunity to win. And Green Bay played well, just couldn't do the job at the end of the game. So I suffered a loss, my only loss in the last 3 weeks in the NFL, and I was the one element of that situation was Matt LaFleur, the coach of the Packers, was kind of blaming the kicker, and I guess kind of rightfully so. But I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to blame Matt LaFleur for not kicking a field goal in the first quarter and trying to go up 10-0 against San Francisco instead of taking the easy 3 points, which would have left the game at 24-24 at that point. And I had the over, by the way, which is 50.5. So I think you know where I'm going there. And on that one, but hey, you know what? The playoff game on the road is a big underdog, and you pass up points. I don't know. A lot of ways to look at that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I give Green Bay a lot of credit, and I'm not fond of his remark with the field goal kicker. I mean, you compare that to Sean McDermott's remark yesterday, who says, I still have the ultimate confidence in my field goal kicker, which a lot of us here in Western New York wouldn't agree. But by the same token, he didn't throw his kicker under the bus under a very frustrating circumstance, and that Green Bay kicker missed that field goal, in the third quarter? This guy missed the field goal for Buffalo with a minute 30 to go and their season on the line. So It would be a lot easier to vent some frustration by McDermott more than it would with LaFleur. But having said that, Doug, I think LaFleur did a terrific job with this team this year to keep them competitive when a lot of people didn't think they had any kind of opportunity to be a playoff team. The improvement in Jordan Love, which I believe a lot of that should be attributed to LaFleur since he's the play caller and he played to his strength. And look, that's a young Packers team, especially at the wide receiver position. And they have nothing but a lot to look forward to. Your quarterback was his first time as a full-time starter. Your wide receivers being so young and being as productive as they were, especially down the stretch. There's a lot to look forward to as a Packers fan, I believe.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. It ended up being a very exciting year, for Packers fans and such. And so, I get that, from that perspective. But what I just don't like coaches that throw players under the bus when you leave yourself open to criticism as well. Just hey, you know what? We win as a team, we lose as a team. That's the mantra. So just what you normally preach, just stick with it and don't live something in the moment that way. That's the only thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, and like McDermott said, and many of the players said yesterday for Buffalo, it shouldn't have came down to that. Josh Allen said the same thing. it should not have came down to depending on Tyler Bass to kick a field goal with less than a minute 30 to go in those types of wind conditions, even though Harrison Bucker was drilling them right down the center and it seemed not to be affected by it. It just shows you the value of a hot kicker or a consistent kicker. You know, you look at Jason Tucker from Baltimore is about as clutch as they come. And Bucker has proved to be the same in the postseason, time after time. So we can't undervalue that aspect of the game. We're going to be talking college basketball today. Doug's going to be looking at the ACC matchup between Wake and North Carolina. I will be looking at the matchup between Cincinnati and Kansas, both games nationally televised on ESPN. You know, Doug, I had one of those Saturdays I don't think I ever had. I haven't had in a long time. First of all, I went 2-5, and I gave out 9 selections in college basketball on Saturday because I really liked the card. But I had 3 pushes in college basketball. I went 2, 4, and 3. Something stupid like that, or 1, 5, and 4, depending on what site you were looking at. Four pushes in the same day because I had the push on the total in the NFL game that fell on 44. So one of those days, you know, I brag about a lot, and you could find me over at gamblersworld.net along with 9 other great handicappers on that site. But I brag a lot when, you know, since August the 4th, I've been absolutely killing it. 5 winning months in a row, but I'm having a horrific January. And I had a terrible weekend. So, folks, there you have it. We're transparent on this channel. When we're not winning, we say it. And when we're hot, and you say we brag too much, well, that's exactly why we brag, because we're one of the few people in the world on this channel that make a profit over the course of a season. And Doug, anyway, how was your weekend, and what may you have coming up on at Doc Sports before we get to our picks?
Sure. Yes. So I was, generally speaking, I was pleased at most things. Had a winning day in college basketball. So that worked out, you know, pretty well. It wasn't outstanding. Missed my 6-unit best bet, but had enough other winners to make it a winning day. So that was good. And so I come into this Monday, of which I'm actually passing on Monday for a play, but won 4 of the last 5 days, okay, in college basketball. So happy about that. Prop bets, your boy Josh Allen for me again, Ross. Okay, anytime touchdown. Okay, ready to go. That was I had a 7-unit play on that one yesterday. So now I'm hitting, since late October, 75% on NFL props. Been on a nice run. And if you combine that along with the NBA props, I'm up $3,400 since late October, 64% altogether. So really doing well there. Like I mentioned, I missed that Packers total, okay, on that one on Saturday, but still came back yesterday with Detroit with a winner. So 7-1 the last 3 weeks. Best bet still, even with that loss, 73.3%, up over $4,000. Hockey, Ross, still rolling, 25-14, up over $4,000. Continued to deliver. Had a 7-unit best bet on Saturday, and it is. I don't recall exactly who it even. I think it was Winnipeg, as I recall, but I'm not exactly sure, to tell you the truth on that one. So that's been good. And finally, NBA 10-5 run. Okay, so lots of good stuff over the weekend and recently, and so the numbers are certainly going my way from that standpoint, Ross. So what about yourself?
I'm glad to hear that, Doug. Like I said, I struggled over the weekend, and it was one of those weekends. What can you say? I mean, yesterday I thought I was. Hey, you know, here's the other thing, and I don't mean to get off track here, but it's one of my pet peeves. And Jen, who's producing the show, has heard me say this many times. I don't think I ever discussed it with you, but I have the other guys. It perplexes me when I see a team like Tampa Bay down 8 going for 2. I mean, I would have loved if they would have made it, because I would have caught a push in the game and you wouldn't have been too happy. But I just don't get it. I don't get it. You know, kick the extra point and you're on the road. If you want to go for 2, go for it in the final minute or something like that to try to win the game. why put yourself in a position if you missed that 2-point conversion, which they did, then now you have to score a touchdown and make a 2-point conversion. So it just baffles me when I see coaches do that. You know, I've seen several times through the course of the last 2 years with teams down 9 points and going for 2, which makes no sense to me whatsoever, especially when it comes down to the last 5 minutes. Why are you going for 2 down 9? You kick the extra point and make it a 1-score game. On top of that, mentally, what does it do to your team? If you miss that 2, now you're down 9 with less than 5 minutes to play, and it's a 2-score game, and your chances diminish considerably of coming back and winning the game. But that's me. Anyway, thank you for asking about how I'm doing. My NBA top plays, 36-18 run. That's 4 units and above. That's 67%. My college basketball top plays, 113-85, 57% run. And my dime players during that time up $19,800. In NBA and college basketball combined top plays, 249 and 204. Not great, but it's still good enough to make a dime player a profit of $26,900. And my college basketball totals since December 8th of 2022, 50-28, 64%. My NBA side, 62-33, 65% since April 11th of 2023. And I have an NBA side tonight over at gamblersworld.net. And don't forget, folks, that's guaranteed. I got the winner in the Bulls and Suns game. When I say guaranteed, folks, if I don't win, I don't make you a profit. We will credit your account back the exact amount of your purchase price or whatever you spent on that specific package. Okay, Doug, let's get to the picks at hand. And we got UNC and Wake Forest in North Carolina right now, red hot, looking like one, if not the best team in the country, one of the best teams in the country, coming off a game at BC, which they fell behind early and then came back to win and cover, much to my chagrin. I had BC in that game plus 6.5, but they won by 10, North Carolina. And Wake Forest, I don't know, sort of a surprise. You know, when you look at the whole grand scheme of things and what the preseason predictions were, Wake Forest flying under the radar here and enjoying a good start to the season. Doug, right now, North Carolina is minus 7.5. What do you got?
Yeah, well, hey, and Ross, it's Big Monday back on ESPN, so we got that going for us. Okay, so that's back in play here. So, and this is also, I think we both know this. A lot of people that pay attention to football, just both college and NFL. This is actually the time of year where they start paying more attention to college basketball. Okay, I mean, not to say people aren't, but I'm going to say the general masses do, because there's only 3 football games left. So here we go. Got much and more college basketball on. So Wake Forest, 13-5 straight up, tied for second, 11-7 against the spread. You know, in the ACC there. The Demon Deacons are 47th in field goal percentage, which is quite good. But actually, overall, they're even better in terms of effectiveness of shooting. They're ranked 26th in the country in effective field goal percentage. And for those that don't know what that means, that incorporates both 2- and 3-point accuracy. So they've been very good and among the best teams in the country. Add that to the fact that they make over 80% of their free throws, and it's no wonder this team averages 81.1 points per game. Now, North Carolina is number 4 in the polls, first in the ACC at 7-0. And even though their offense isn't as, let's just say, they don't shoot as well as what Wake Forest is to this point of the season, they do play at a little bit faster pace, and their defense certainly helps them too. 83.3 points per game. And the numbers climb at Chapel Hill, where they average over 90 points per game. Now, some people might say, well, hey, Doug, every team shoots the ball, plays better at home, and they also face weaker opponents, especially, you know, from the early in the season. Here's something to keep in mind, though. Right now, as we do this video, North Carolina has played the 12th toughest schedule in college basketball. Wake Forest is at 146. So just keep that in mind. Now, Tar Heels opened at 8.5 for this game, and they're down to 7.5. And hey, there's some reason to believe that's a possibility. Wake Forest has covered 4 in a row against North Carolina, and including 2 at Chapel Hill. And they're 11-7 over the years against the spread at the Dean Dome, and they have 5 outright upsets within that mix. Nonetheless, Tar Heels on a 8-0 and 7-1 run, and it's because of their defense. They're holding opposing teams to just 39.8%, and they're rebounding +8 margin, dominating both sides of the glass, and that's where they get some of their cheap points. Okay. Even though they don't necessarily shoot well, they get those offensive rebounds, put them back in. Wake comes into this one 11-27 on the road against teams that average 40 or more rebounds in the second half of the season over a long period of time. UNC, they're 12-3 at home against teams that commit 12 or fewer turnovers. Give me the Tar Heels, Ross. I think they're going to get the job done at Chapel Hill, and they'll be dancing on the streets on Franklin Street, which I have been to, by the way, some of the bars on Franklin Street years ago in Chapel Hill. So I know what will be going on tonight.
All right, so our official pick from Doug Upstone is North Carolina -7.5 over Wake Forest, and I'm going to disagree with him here. I'm going to go with the Demon Deacons here. I think this is a lot bigger game for Wake Forest than it is North Carolina, because they're the upstart, and not a lot of people expected a lot from them, and this is their opportunity to make a statement and show they're for real, and especially on the road at North Carolina, and we'll see what happens. But, this is a team that shoots the three-pointer extremely well. Mm-hmm. And they say the great equalizer in college basketball for an underdog is the ability to knock down 3-point shots. And they certainly do that. Number 12 in the country at 39.3%. This is also a very good free throw shooting team. So they don't leave a lot of points on the board, or they don't leave a lot of points on the table, I should say, at 80.1% from the charity stripe, 5-2 in conference play. Number 2 in offensive efficiency within ACC play, and number 1 3-point shooting team in ACC play at an extremely well 42.1%. So in North Carolina, on the other hand, this is a team that's playing extremely well right now, and the line has been compensated for the strength of schedule. If you look, there's not a huge disparity between both teams' win-loss record, but like Doug alluded to, North Carolina has played farther tougher schedule, and that has mostly to do with the fact that they played a brutal and tough non-conference schedule compared to Wake Forest. But I just think it's a good spot for the Demon Deacons. I like them to keep this game a lot more competitive than a lot of Tar Heels fans would wish for, or Doug would wish for. So I'm going to, just an opinion play. I disagree with Doug on this one. We've done that several times over the last few weeks. But lesson to be learned, folks out there. When you disagree with one of our picks, see the way we treat each other respectfully. We respect each other's opinion. You don't have to lambaste somebody because they don't have the same opinion as you. In any event, our official pick is North Carolina -7.5 from Mr. Upstone. Okay, I am going to look at the Kansas and Cincinnati game. That game will be played in Lawrence, Kansas. And right now, Kansas is an 8.5-point favorite, total 147. Again, ESPN telecast at 9 o'clock. Doug's game goes at 7. Kansas has seen 4 of their last 5 conference games, or I should say 4 of 5 conference games go over the total this year. And they've also gone over the total in 5 of their last 6 overall. So this is in the average combined score in those 6 games, a little over 153 points per game. Like Doug just alluded to, a lot of people will tell you that, your offensive numbers are always higher in college basketball at home than on the road, and Kansas is no exception. I mean, 9-0 at home, but they have played a very tough schedule this year. Not so much at home, but more neutral site games. Having said that, they're averaging 81.7 points per game at home and shooting 52% from the field and a little over 40% from beyond the three-point arc at home this season. Kansas also is the number one in offensive efficiency in Big 12 play. And the thing is, you look at Kansas's defensive efficiency according to KenPom, and they're right up there with the best in the nation. However, in Big 12 play, that really hasn't been the case. They're number 10 in defensive efficiency and number 13 when it comes to three-point defense in Big 12 play. I mean, opponents are shooting 37.9% from beyond the three-point arc against Kansas in their 5 conference matchups. Cincinnati, on the other hand, are coming off a 69-65 home loss to Oklahoma. That game went under the total of 144.5. A nice trend here, in-season trend that I like to follow is the algorithms between overs and unders, and this applies to Cincinnati here. The Bearcats have gone over the total this year 6 of 7 games immediately following a game that went under the total. And those 7 games have combined 152 points per matchup. Cincinnati, 3 true road games this year. And in those 3 true road games, averaging just under 79 points per game. 2 of those 3 games also went over the total. This is a Kansas team that's number 3 when it comes to offensive tempo in conference play. Averaging 68.8 offensive possessions per 40 minutes, which is a brisk pace. In Cincinnati is number 5 in that category at 68.2 per 40 minutes. And also Cincinnati, number 3 in the Big 12 in conference play in terms of offensive time of possession. They average just 16.9 seconds per offensive possessions in Big 12 play, which is a pretty brisk pace as well. I'm going to go Kansas and Cincinnati over the total of 147, Doug.
Yes, I agree with that in principle, Ross. And one of the reasons that I do, one of the things that's been going on this year, and a good friend of mine sent this over to me, is over I think it's the last 7 to 10 days, overs in college basketball are hitting like 60%. And so most astute players of totals typically go play unders in this case. And one of the reasons that they do is because the public's typically on overs. And it's just coming through more and more this year. Now, is specifically as to why, that takes some more digging around to try and come up with that. But, I'm looking at this Kansas team, Ross, 15-3, but this is not your typical Bill Self team to me, having watched them, I think 4 times this year. Used to be Kansas 8 or 9 deep, every year. More recently, in the last 3 to 4 years, about 7 deep. This year, they have 3 double-digit scores. And the number 4 score is DeJuan Harris Jr. He falls off to 7 points per game. Now, they're still scoring a lot of points, and as Ross mentioned, at a high average in terms of percentage with their shooting. But from that standpoint, how that's happening is because 4 of their starters are playing 32 to 35 minutes per game. So Bill Self does not trust his bench at all from that standpoint. I'm looking at Cincinnati coming into this one 12-2. Then they've lost 3 of the last 4, but those losses came against Texas, Baylor, and Oklahoma, all good clubs. Pretty similar, I would say, or better than what Cincinnati is. Now, maybe Kansas recovers in this one after what I would call an embarrassing loss at West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia is not a good basketball team, and giving up 91 points, that's not good. Poor defensive effort there. But being at Allen Fieldhouse tonight, they could certainly roll it up here. But Ross, I'm going to go with the Bearcats here, keeping this closer than expected. 7-0 against the spread off a loss by 6 points or less, and 14-2 the last 2 years off 1 or more losses. I'm going to take Cincinnati for my pick, going along with your play of the over in this one.
All right, so our official pick is on the over 147 in Cincinnati and Kansas. Doug has a lean toward Cincinnati plus the 8.5 over Kansas. And Doug also likes the North Carolina Tar Heels minus the 7.5. against Wake. That's our official pick there. So there you have it, folks. Me and Doug will be back on Thursday discussing more college basketball. At that time, I will be back tomorrow morning with Jesse Schule and Sean Higgs. We'll be discussing college basketball at that time. And I'll be back in the afternoon with Mr. Paul Bovey, as we'll have both NFL Conference Championship games and free picks covered for you on that show. So you don't want to miss that. Until the next time, for Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.